Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
An anthology which tells 5 terrifying tales inspired by the EC horror comic books of the 1950s. This Halloween season, we watched Creepshow from 1982, directed by none other than George Romero and written by Stephen King himself.
Yay, happy spooky season. It's Creepshow time.
With Tom Atkins.
Yes.
Tom Atkins. He plays the dick dad, and he plays it very well.
That he does.
He's very big dick to actually Stephen King's son, that little boy.
And I've always felt that it was funny that he did that too, almost like an in joke, seeing how many horror movies Tom Atkins has been in.
Yeah.
He'd be like, this is horror crap.
Yeah, it does seem like a play on his career almost.
They're no worse than your sex books in your drawer, you son of a bitch.
I know, I love that. That little boy is like, I've seen the magazines in your drawer, dickhead. Like, he's all into that dad.
The thing that was crazy about that scene is when the dad slapped the shit out of that poor kid.
Oh,
he
with the
left
handprint?
the handprint on him. Like, somebody call CPS because you have perfect proof of what happened.
Was CPS a thing?
No, I grew up in the 80s. That was perfectly legal back then,
Right.
apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
Apparently, or at least that's what I
true.
was told.
Right? That's what we were all told.
They won't care. Call them.
That's one thing I'd always do. Like, I remember being a kid, be like, I'm going to call whoever it is. I forget who I would say, but my parents were like, you want me to call them for you?
I know.
You can't waste Esther's time like that.
Don't waste Esther's time. Oh, parents of the 80s. They were not great. But anyway, we're getting back to Creepshow.
I know,
1982.
I wanted the kid to be like, what are those guys doing together, Dad? And he'd be like, what? What are you talking about?
Like,
When it's sex books.
I love how the mom's just like, oh, I heard something downstairs. I got to go that way now.
I
Like,
can't be a witness to this.
No. It was like, I'm going to go downstairs before I start getting hit.
Yeah.
probably.
It was like in the stuff, remember?
The stuff. I was thinking about that the Earth's discharged about this time. If you haven't listened to that one, kids, go listen to that one. It's a good episode.
Now, the one thing I do got to say is this is actually my first time watching it all the way through. I have seen a bunch of different clips of Creepshow here and there, obviously with, what's the creature's name, the nickname for it they gave him?
Fluffy.
Fluffy in the crate, yes.
So I'd seen that, and that's the main thing that I know about this movie, but actually sitting down and watching all of it, this was my first time.
Oh, I love this movie. It's such a classic. George Romero.
Yeah.
Stephen King. Like,
Tom Savini.
Tom Savini. It's epitome of 80s horror is what
Yes,
it is. It's
yes.
just a showcase of 80s horror.
Yeah, it really is just like, it really is like the stars aligned and just had like all these greats come together. Because this, I was reading the thing in the IMDb trivia, was like, Stephen King and George Romero always wanted to work together, and then they found this project. They're like, yes, we need to jump on this and let's do
it
this
as soon
now.
as possible.
And then I don't know how Savini got involved, but I mean, hooray that they did, because I mean, this is just some classic like Savini work in there, in the Creeper itself, in Fluffy.
Yeah.
Just Fluffy in the Crate is my favorite of these 5.
The crate is so good. But yeah, even just the opening scene where you get that Tom Atkins, Joe Hill interchange that we were talking about while the boy is just like, you have porn.
Yeah. Like, what is your problem with me reading comic books and you're reading porn?
I mean, Tom Atkins is a dick, but he's still so badass in the little parts that he has. Like, he's just sitting in that chair with his beer, and he's like, that's why God made dads. Like,
I know. I wrote down like, I took care of it. You're welcome.
it's really his whole character. He's such a badass.
I don't understand, Dad, why you're upset about my horror comic books, because there's a bunch of people getting stabbed in your books too.
Yeah.
Ew, no.
There's a bunch of hatchet wounds in your book too. Where do you want to go?
Gross. No. Gross. But then it goes right into the opening credits, which all 80s movies had, those long ass opening credits. But I've always, since a kid, I've loved it because the creeper turns into a cartoon.
That he does.
So I always just assumed this was for children, because I saw this as a young kid. Even seeing this as a kid, it just felt like something I needed to be a part of, and I needed to watch this every Halloween. And I do. I still watch this every Halloween. And it's really not a Halloween movie, except other than the pumpkin in the window.
The thing that cracked me up about the opening scenes and the opening credits is when they started listing off the actors that were in it.
Yeah.
The name that stood out for me, because I can't see him as anything else other than a comedic actor, was Leslie Nielsen. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him. And when we get to him, we'll talk about that. But that name and the dude from Cheers, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson, yes.
With actual hair color in his hair rather than it being white.
Yeah.
Those two were the ones I was like, okay, I'm excited to see where it's going to go with them. And the fact that they actually had a scene in the movie together or had a story together made it that much better for me.
Oh, every time I'm watching the opening credits, Ed Harris is the one I see because it automatically
that's
takes
the other
me.
one I think of too. Is
automatically takes me to his dancing. He gets down in this movie. That 80s music.
I hate to say this because I love this movie. And I love it because, like you said, it had the animated sequence. And I really think, like, our childhood was a lot of fucking trial and error.
Yes, it was. Is this too far? We don't know if it's too far.
Yeah, the 80s was really like, hey, maybe we should stop, letting cartoon characters sell cigarettes and alcohol to kids. Like, maybe they're getting the wrong message. But it was like, no, they're just stupid kids. Like, the guy you make us watch on cartoons on Saturday is now selling us cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you think it's our fault? Like,
right.
So yeah, a lot of these 80s movies and everything, there was always the animated things. And so, yeah, like you said, it felt like it was for kids. Like, this is a kid's movie, even though like, it probably shouldn't have been or whatever.
No.
But I think, so I really hate to say this, but because I love this movie, right? And I don't think it's very scary, but they're good, creepy stories or whatever. But the scariest thing about this movie is Ed Harris dancing. Yes. That dance sequence. That dance sequence is on par with Crispin Glover in Friday the 13th.
I don't know. Every time.
I want to see a dance off.
They're pretty bad. They're both pretty bad.
Oh, but they're feeling it.
Yeah.
They're feeling it. Don't let go.
Now, at one point, I thought he was feeling a stroke or something, or a seizure coming on.
With the hand comes
that
down.
hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that move? Like, imagine your fucking parents doing that move at fucking senior prom in the gym back then. Like,
here's the thing to pick up on the next time you guys watch
pre-prom
this.
night.
Yes.
I don't think I ever saw him blink once while he was doing his whatever you want to call dancing.
Yeah,
Okay, he was
That's
doing
what's
it.
so good.
no, because that's what made it even creepier.
Yeah.
Because it was like it was so intense in his face to where he's just like
Like what is he
bug-eyed and
doing?
like.
Yes. Well, I guess we can go right into Father's Day, which is the
Yes.
first of
So
the
is
stories.
is that what it's like for women out in the club? You got guys like creepy eyed like that doing the hand
Yes.
The
dance?
bug
Like-
eyes.
Yes.
Like, see, there was a dude in Fright Night probably in that club scene that was
Doing the
dancing like
same
Ed
thing.
Harris, like trying to do the
Yes.
eyes to some poor chick out there. So yeah,
I don't know why guys think we need intense eyes. Don't intense eyes anybody you're trying to come at.
and he was already married, so how the fuck like
Yeah,
like
like-
if you're that dude at the club, intense eyes do not work.
I actually think that there is somebody out there telling all these dudes make eye contact really aggressively, and no, just don't. Especially at a
goodness.
bar, that's scary.
No.
You get scared
No,
of y'all.
because okay, I think it is for dudes like that. It's like someone says like, okay, well, you have to make eye contact with people, right? You
Yeah.
know, but the dudes like they're like, okay, when
Stare
they-
at their eyes.
I'm like, that doesn't.
Let's
why
make
does
them
that? Why does that
uncomfortable.
generate into big creepy
I
eyes?
don't know.
And the hand
Relax on the
dance?
eyes, fellas.
All
That's
right.
all I'm saying. Horror PSA. Relax
So,
those
yeah.
eyes
All
a
right.
little bit.
So Father's Day, I love fucking crazy Aunt Bedelia.
I do too.
Yeah.
I hope to one day be her.
The funny thing was is that when I first heard her name, I thought they called her Aunt Medea. So I kept thinking Medea from.
You that Tyler Perry was gonna
Yeah.
show up like randomly in 1982.
Yeah.
Took a-
I just kept hearing Medea. I didn't hear Bedelia until like a little bit after the fact, but I just kept hearing Medea.
Speaking of which, good point, Saul. There are no people of color really in this film.
There's one guy,
Yeah,
and
there's one.
I think they called him Mr. White.
Yes, they did, and he gets a racist. He
Yeah.
doesn't get a race. Well, he does say honky at one
Well,
point.
he go, hey, at that point, you
At that
honky
point.
motherfucker,
Yeah.
open the goddamn door. You've been telling. We're not talking about
No,
that one.
we'll
We're
get to
gonna
Ups
get
and
to
Pratt.
that
Yeah,
later.
we'll get to the delicious character Ups and Pratt. But
we got to finish Father's Day.
Yes, Father's Day is great for a number of reasons. That fucking set that they put up of the cemetery, like
Yeah.
how perfect is that set? That house, like it's just a feel. Like you get it, and you're just like, okay, I automatically know this kind of
It's a
story.
cold, rich person's
Yes.
creepy house.
Exactly.
Where
And
murder could happen and no one would know or care.
Yeah, exactly. And Sylvia, the mom, I think of
Yes, she
Yes,
is
she's the
Cass's
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sylvia plays that character so perfectly.
She's definitely that like matriarchal.
She's got
rich
resting
person.
bitch face. She's got that quiet but stern tone.
Yeah, and I love like the back and forth between her and the kids. They're like, "You go do it." We're like, "I don't want to do it. He's your fucking husband. You go find him." Like,
and I love how she's just ever the passive aggressive, quiet, stern woman. Like, you are fat, Cass. Stop eating all of that food.
Yeah.
There was one like she's quite a hog. Our Cass is.
Yes.
Like, have another martini.
Yes, exactly. That's just who she is.
Shall we glaze the ham, ma'am? Mrs. Danvers, we're waiting for Aunt Bedelia.
I love, too, though, how Sylvia just starts telling family business. She's like, well, you're married to us now. I guess you should know that Aunt Bedelia murdered this guy right here. Like, right here with his ashtray.
And here's the ashtray.
This is the murder weapon that nobody happens to know that was but me.
And that fun fact with that ashtray, it carries on through the movie. You see it a few more times in the movie, and it's also in the series.
Every sequence.
Is it?
Yes, and it's
in
also
every sequence of this one.
Yep,
Okay, I
and
didn't
you
pick
can
up on
also
that.
catch it in Shudder series currently.
Yes.
Lots of Easter eggs in this movie. But yeah, the props and the scene and all the actors are part of what make this movie what it is and how it still holds up today. Because you have the ridiculousness of Ed Harris dancing, but then he uses his acting skills. And like, I've always believed him in the cemetery as he's like...
No. Okay, we can get to the cemetery.
I have
scene.
issues with his
I have
with
issues
his
with the
death.
cemetery scene, so we can get to that when we get to that part.
You guys have issues with his death?
Yes.
I feel betrayed. Why?
Because he sat there like a fucking moron.
Yes.
He was scared.
Roll over to
okay.
your left or your right. You're
He
seeing
tries,
a big
and Aunt
giant.
Bedelia's there.
No,
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
Okay, if I'm, I mean, maybe he wasn't totally drunk, right? But he had some drinks, right? So
Yeah.
just
Did you
say-
guys see him dance? Clearly there was coke
Let's
involved
say-
or
But
something.
still,
Fine. Okay, then if he was on coke, he would have fucking got up and ran and like boom, like
No, I imagine if he was on coke, that thing just would have fallen on him and he would have caught it and just thrown it off.
yeah, just
yeah.
shoved it
But,
back.
but
Okay,
still, though.
no, I'm walking in, after being in that cold, creepy house, right? We've already said, right? Then you go out like, all right, I'm going to go look for Aunt Bedelia because we want to fucking glaze the ham and eat, goddammit. So
Yeah.
he goes out there. The first time you see one of those headstone moves, I don't care, drunk, sober, otherwise, if I'm in a creepy cemetery where there's also
I'm going to
fog,
nope the fuck
Lots
out of
of
there.
fog.
dude.
if there's something moving there, I'm like, nope, I don't even care. I'm like, but there's a lost child. Okay, then he's over there. You go get his ass.
You go in that creepy
I will
fog.
come back
there.
when there are flashlights and more people. I am not going in there by myself and becoming up another missing person either.
Yeah, but instead he goes in and then ends up falling and lays there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this the first time you're laying there and looking up,
And you see that thing
move like
move.
an inch. I'm like, that okay,
Like, okay, I'm getting up.
that shouldn't be moving. I'm
I
gonna
always-
fuck out of here.
I always
Yeah.
took it as he every time he tried to move, it moved further, so he thought he was disturbing it more
Then
by
fucking
moving.
try to roll as fast as you can out of the way.
And who was moving it?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was when he fell into it. I think it was supposed to have
No.
disturbed the ground. I
No.
think is what it was.
No, because it was clearly like one side got pushed, and
Yeah.
then the other side.
Well,
got
clearly
pushed.
there was some poor PA in the background.
So wait,
pushing it
so you were
over.
okay, so you were taking it as like it was just teetering and then it fell.
Yeah.
No.
That's not how it is at all. I don't know if
No.
that's what they meant.
Well, that's how I've taken it since I was
Either
a
way,
child.
your ass
And
can
I may have
roll
just
out of the way.
I may have just gotten that impression in my head as a child, and that's just an idea that has carried with me through until
No,
adulthood.
because I'm totally like, who is moving it if the other guy is like on the other side of everything?
yeah, I just assumed because one of the other ones moves too. Like
Yes.
he notices it beforehand. So
And
like
that's when he still walks in there,
Yeah.
and then he finds the whiskey bottle.
yeah, and then falls into
falls.
the open grave.
I
yeah.
love how was it in that one or was it earlier when they no yeah it was that one where he takes the whiskey bottle and he smells it.
Yeah, and then he drinks
Like,
it anyway.
Why do they always smell it? In
That's what
movies?
I don't get.
I've always said that. I'm like, why do you smell it? Like, you know what whiskey smells like?
Yeah.
If I find a bottle of Jim Beam, I'm like, I know what Jim Beam smells like. I know what Jim Beam tastes like. I don't need to smell it.
Yeah.
Why would you drink it? Like
Exactly.
Don't drink bottles that you find on
You
the
don't know that's
ground.
been.
But it was on Bedelia, so
I don't
you're right.
care. Don't drink bottles you find on the ground,
Yes.
children.
Okay, so this guy that just laid there and got his head crushed, you think is making smart decisions?
Okay, fair enough. And I did
still
see
though.
his dance.
Did you? Yeah.
so-
Did you see his dance? He's not made the best decisions in life.
You
Yeah,
know
but
what?
still-
No matter how ridiculous
He
that
married
dance
Cass and she eats
sequence
everything.
is, it gets me going. Don't let it go.
It is a catchy song.
The thing that also made me laugh about that one, his whole dancing, is when who was it? The mom, Sylvia.
Sylvia.
She came in there and said, "Turn that music down. It's too loud." I'm like, "That's not really that loud."
I know. I love how they're all just waiting and like they're all so stuffy, but they don't go do anything.
Yeah.
Like they're all just sitting there listening. I'm like, sure, you people have a TV. Like,
No, but I kind of take this as like we have to do this because we don't want to get written out of the will or blah 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 kind of
We have
thing.
to-
It's a safe face.
So it's like one of those things that like once a year we have to just sit here and do this, and we can't watch TV, we can't do the like
can't
blah
do
blah blah.
anything, so we get our paychecks
Plus, like, yeah,
for the rest
she-
of the year.
she
Yeah,
yelled-
okay, that makes sense.
Like she yelled at him about the music and all that. So I mean, you really think she was gonna be okay with like watch TV?
Yeah. I love when like they're telling the story of what happened to Bedelia, and it's so perfectly like comic book flashbacks because
Yeah.
they use
The
like
borders.
the colors,
Yeah.
the borders, and each of them have their own feel too when they
Yeah.
go through, and I love it because it sets
really-
this tone for the whole
It really
story.
shows like the care they took in each individual segment to make sure that it was its own like open and closed thing.
Yeah.
But that everything
Thing
still
was
flowed
cohesive,
the way
yeah.
together. So like I mean, there really was like great care into this. And even though like there's a couple things that they changed script wise, like from what they originally scripted to then they changed kind of things along the way, just because of production and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it even like meshes well together. And there's when we get to the something that tied you over, there was like a major like rewrite because they just had to change some things. So we can talk about that. But a lot of care. I mean, really, just two great masters of horror putting
Yeah.
on their best.
Yeah.
And then you tie that in, like we said, with Savini's just work. So it's like,
Yeah.
it really is just like the trifecta of fucking like amazingness, and that we'll never be able to have again since
No.
George Romero's dead.
Like the quick bites, but they're so detailed. They're so in depth. Like with the Bedelia story, like we find out that Bedelia was getting some elderly dick. We find out like
that
how she
old
murdered.
dude was an ass.
Yes, fucking
Nathan Grantham.
yeah, Nathan was a dick. And like you see that opening when they first bring us into the flashbacks, it's just him in his chair banging his cane, going, "You were all a bunch of vultures. You all want my money."
See, maybe he was right though. He was
Yeah.
like, "You're all just, none of you give a shit about me. I
you
asked
don't.
for one goddamn thing on Father's Day.
He wanted
That's
his
all
cake.
I want. I've given you riches beyond
Hey,
everything."
No, Bedelia was getting that elderly D, and Nathan stepped in and killed her. The dick she was riding, so she went a little crazy. I love how they call it a September courtship.
Yeah.
And then the cast chimes in with, it was more October, November at this point. They were old. Like,
Yeah.
But she's still kicking around and able to drive her crazy drunk ass to the cemetery every Father's Day.
Yeah.
she is. And she,
Well,
she kept that ashtray. Like, that's a big dick energy in itself, keeping that ashtray around.
The thing that cracked me up on that though is when the dad kept yelling about his cake and she just had enough of his shit, picked up that ashtray and bonked him on the head. I'm like, you fucker, you deserve that.
Oh, I know. He calls her a bitch, and I love how when she's like yelling at his grave when she goes to the cemetery, she's like, "You called me a bitch!" Like she's still not over it. Like
That,
she's still pissed about it.
That whole sequence, the actress asked the director if she's like, "Can I just do my thing and go for it?" And she used her own energy from like a past relationship,
Yeah.
and like other private stuff, I think. And she kind of just ad-libbed and made that whole thing up. So that whole rant where she's like,
It's perfect. I believe
perfect.
she was
He loves me.
a drunk, angry
Yeah. So I mean,
person and her
she just
dad.
went for it on her own, basically. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
Ugh, I just have a note here. I put the clothes, the grave, the sets. Like everything is slightly over the top, but always right. Like it's
Yeah.
not over the top so much that it's so hokey and campy.
It doesn't make any of it comical. It's just the right amount before it got too comical.
Yes, and it's just so perfectly melded together. It's so amazing.
I love that zombie Nathan laughs after Hank gets crushed.
Yeah, it does.
And he goes like wagging. "Rah."
The grave popper scene when he comes out, like
Yeah.
it with the music and that hand, I still jump. It'll still get me to this day. It's so perfect.
I
It
love
just
how
popped
even
out.
though as a zombie or whatever the hell he is, he still wants his fucking cake.
He does, and he talks. I love it. I just, it's so amazing. And the graveyard fog. Yeah, it just all my notes are like so amazing. I love this movie. That's all my notes are. Yeah, the music with this film is
Yes.
also perfect. It brings in that extra layer of tension that everything needs.
I love the fact that like as the movie progresses, it's really is just like fuck it. It's all about glazing the ham.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Everyone comes in like so every time they go into the kitchen, it's about the fucking ham because like Sylvia goes
The
in and
fucking
she's
ham
like
palace.
she's like glaze the fucking ham. I don't know where Ann Bedelia is, and then she gets killed or whatever. And then when it's Cass and is it Richard, I think, her brother or whoever?
I think so, yeah.
They go in and it's basically about like, all right, we just want to eat the fucking ham now. I don't know where anybody is. And then we find Sylvia.
Yes.
On a silver platter.
On a silver platter, and it's Father's Day, and I got my cake.
I wanted one of them to be like, it's not Father's Day today, and the Nathan Zombie just to be like, oh, okay, and just
goes back
walks
to bed.
away, like,
Back to my business.
He
my
checks
mistake.
the calendar real quick.
It's like,
sees how long he has to go back to sleep for.
wait, it was 2 days, you fuckers.
Like, are you sure it's not Father's Day? Are you positive? Show me on the calendar where it says it's Father's Day. Nope, I'm wrong. I'm off by a couple months.
Sylvia's head on a platter, though, is an iconic scene, and anybody that sees that shot will know it's from Creepshow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her head as a cake is so amazing. And then it leads us right into the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. And this whole second story feels so different from the first. Yeah. And it's got like a 50s music and kind of like retro sounds like that with a space kind of theme to it.
And meteor shit.
Yes.
The thing that cracked me up about the meteor thing is immediately when I saw it hit and him go towards it, like, oh shit, we're going to have a Joe Dirt experience going on right now. He's like, he's going to Joe Dirt that meteor.
Oh, and Stephen King playing Jordy Verrill.
He did a really good job at it.
Romero told him to play it like Wile E. Coyote about to fall off a cliff with the wide eyes. And
yeah,
like that.
I did notice that with his eyes just bugged out the entire
all the time. But it gives that 50s kind of feel
and
to
it. It really does make sense if you listen to the little tunes they have. It's almost cartoonish and like an old, Wile E. Coyote kind of cartoon like that, where it's like you have those kind of like interlude tunes that kind of change the scene with it. And and it is very kind of like, it reminds me of that Twilight Zone, the movie, that one about the little kid and how everything with like the Looney Tunes and all that. Like, how it just kind of has that atmosphere about it. And it really works with the way that Stephen King actually played the character.
Yeah, it like I said, with the music and his the way he portrayed that character just makes it so funny.
You gotta love how he, like I said, he Joe Dirt's it. He goes and sees the meteor and he's like, oh, I'm gonna sell this and get some money out of it. And
I know I've always thought would somebody buy that?
I don't know. Yeah, I've never had a meteor to ask questions about.
Well, he immediately thought what? He thought he was going to get
college, $200.
Take it to college, get $200 out of it.
It makes sense because he's like a poor farmer or whatever, and not very educated. So he'd be like, all right, well, this is space junk or whatever. People at the college would pay for this, right? I mean, it makes sense if you don't know. Heck, fuck, this is 2020. I don't know if you can sell a meteor.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Never thought about it.
I feel like the government would just come take it from you and be like, you'd be fucked or whatever. Like, okay, now you can't live here, and this is like, wait, what? Like,
you're like, what happened?
I get no money, and you're kicking me out of my house. Like
this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But you gotta love how he goes in there and immediately
the men
wants
in
to
black
touch
show up.
Yeah, the men in black
show up, and
like,
you don't even remember about it. So I may have found a meteor before, and I didn't
it could have happened. We don't know.
Because that's the thing I thought about it though too, is when they hit him, like, why is he? He's like, he's probably gonna try to touch it, isn't he? And he goes and he touches it. He does, and he burns his 2 fingers.
Immediately burns his fingers.
Like, dum dum.
The blisters on his finger, the white ones, like right away. I've always loved those.
Yeah.
Like it just looks so like it's more than like what you would expect. Like if you burn your fingers, you might get a little blister or whatever after it. But it's just like the fact that there's so many so quickly, I'm like, they look painful and like at the same time, like it just looks so real. Like just the brilliance in that little piece on the 2 fingers. That was so great.
I love how his immediate thought is I have to cool it off, so I got to throw some water on it. Like, why? No, it's hot. That breaks anything. Like, don't do that.
What is it, that whole science thing about if you immediately do the opposite of something, it's going to do what? It's going to break. So if
it's going to crack.
It's going to crack. So if you rapidly cool something that's been hot, it's going to crack. And if you rapidly heat something that's been cold, it's going to crack. So you're like, So
basically, you're going to fuck it up.
Yeah, you're going to mess it up.
And then he has those little thoughts in his brain where he of himself going and getting the $200. I've always loved that, like a professor that's kind of quackish. Like it's another like 50s feel to it.
That college. The thing that I thought was funny is every time he had his little flashbacks, because he had his little whatever you want to call it, his little dream about him selling it. And then when they came and got him because he was going crazy, it was the same doctor every single time. Like, do they just have one area for this entire thing, or is like I just thought it was funny how they kept doing that.
Yeah, no, the doctor. Sometimes his.
It's just one less guy you got to pay if you use the same guy.
What is that thing called with the big?
I don't know.
I don't know what they're called.
Like,
I know what you're talking
doctors
about.
ever? Like, what were they
what
for?
is that? I don't
big
know.
circle thing with the hole in it.
Yeah, like what is that used
I
for?
don't know.
The only
like,
thing I can think of is kind of like, it was like an old timey headlamp.
Yeah,
Because
maybe
you would
it's
think
like
it would,
reflecting. Yeah,
that's
that
the only
makes
thing I can
sense.
think of.
That might
maybe
make
I
sense.
fucking know.
Sure, that's what we're going with. But
I love that Stephen King is drinking Ripple.
Yes.
Ripple Red.
Ripple Red before he finds his pop off. But yeah, I love how he notices the green on his fingers after he's sitting there drinking. And then it kind of immediately remembers he's been sucking on these things the whole time. Don't touch stuff and then put it in your mouth, kids.
No.
Like we all learned that as children,
Yes.
right?
Obviously, he didn't, because that was pretty much his downfall.
Apparently not. We're in a fucking pandemic.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you get what is it, like moss, grass, or whatever?
Yeah,
it would be?
it's like alien mossy grass, pretty much.
Why
They don't
not?
ever specifically explain it, but
My thing was always like, why not try and just burn it? You know,
Yeah.
like what's the problem in that? Like
On
go
your
outside-
fingers, you mean?
No, but like go outside and try burning some of it and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And then you'll know at least if like maybe you
Heat it
heat
up
it up a little bit or something to kill it. Like instead he just like, I'm gonna watch wrestling all night and get drunk.
then do
He
nothing.
passes
Yeah.
out, and then he wakes up, and he's like, I got to get this off. And he tries shaving. Doesn't he try to take a bath, and something tells him, don't do it. Don't
No,
do
his
it.
daddy comes back.
I wrote it in. In that scene where he makes that glitter bath or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
that is,
Yeah.
right? I put, Jordy, I had to visit you from the dead to tell you how fucking stupid
Mm-hmm.
this is.
Yes.
And then the dad's like, oh, fuck it, you moron. And just leaves. Because
Yeah.
like while the dad's like, Jordy, don't be a
Don't get in the
dumbass.
tub. It wants water,
yeah,
you
and
dumbass.
then-
Like earlier, when he's drinking his screwdriver that he's made, and he's sitting there, and he's like, "I'm growing." So obviously, he knows that like
Something's happening.
something's happening.
Well,
so
the
why would you get in the
alcohol-
water?
The alcohol didn't kill it. So maybe that's what his plan was. If I get drunk, it'll stop growing.
Well, it was a terrible idea.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea.
Didn't work.
Yep. And doesn't he fall asleep again after that? And then he wakes up and then more,
Yeah.
and that's when he
Yeah.
goes to take a bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he's
that's-
just passing out all
And then the
night.
dad's like, "You're stupid. Don't do that." And then he starts talking, and the dad's like, "Oh, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're dumb. You're gonna die.
Well,
I'll see you soon."
Well, at one point, wasn't he tried to call somebody, and he starts thinking he has that weird little thing again, and be like, they're going to come and they're going to take everything from me.
Yeah,
They're
they're
going
gonna
to
think I'm
do that.
crazy.
Yeah, they're going to
Yeah.
think I'm crazy. And then he decides against it, and that's when I think he went to go get drunk and falls asleep again.
Yeah, and then he gets in the bath, and then the next shot of Jordy we see is he's a complete weed plant.
Get a ghillie suit on.
Yes.
Well, they did have that one shot where, like, you see the green on, like he's turning into the Hulk, except he's planty.
It's a swamp thing.
Yes.
Yes.
But
They
he
didn't live in a swamp though, so what would
No.
it be like?
But
the
then-
moss creature.
he blows his top off of his mossy creature
Oh,
self.
yeah.
Like it's not. I don't even say it's the head because it's like this up here. It's way at the top, but all of it explodes.
That's your head.
Well, I know, but it was just like the top pointy part
Top
of
crown
the
your head?
thing.
You mean the crown of your head?
The top half.
I guess it all explodes into
Yes.
a green goo. But I love the end where you get the comic book kind of progressing the story about how it's leading out of town. Like the green is growing on the
Yeah.
road and heading to Castle
with
Rock.
with the radio saying like, "Oh, we're gonna get rain soon. It's
Yeah.
gonna get green so quick." And like, it's sad to me that Jordy had to pray to God to be like, "Don't let me fuck up killing myself, please."
Yes. Well,
Yes.
Jordy doesn't make good choices, and that's why his dad came and was like, "Hey, Jordy, maybe don't do this.
Hey, buddy.
We need some intervention here."
I feel Jordy was gonna die some way anyway soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Either on purpose or by accident, more than likely by accident.
But then that leads us into our next anthology story, Something to Tide You Over. And that's the lovely one with Leslie Nielsen
Yes.
and Ted Danson.
You say
Yes.
Leslie Nielsen?
Nielsen.
Listen.
But Something to Tide You Over opens with Leslie Nielsen's character, Richard, basically kidnapping Ted Danson's
Yeah.
Harry character.
Did you say
Again-
Ted Danson's Harry?
Harry character is what I said, yes.
But yeah, this
His
is.
Harry character.
I was excited for it when I saw him in it because, like I said, the only thing I've ever known Leslie Nielsen for is his Naked Gun movies.
Oh, yeah, Naked Gun.
And what is it? The Dracula Dead and Loving It. So anything I've always associated with him being a comedic actor.
He's so
So
suave in this movie.
So seeing him kind of take a serious take on a role, I was thrown off. I was like, I wasn't believing it too much because
I
the
know.
only thing I can think of was that.
And it's
but he's
so different.
Yeah,
like,
it's so different from what you've seen him from. So this is the one that I was excited the most about, and I love this one.
yeah, it's so fun. He's like, it's got its own kind of timey feel to it. I say this one's more like 70s, 80s feels because he's got like all that tech and stuff.
Yeah.
But there are a couple
Well, I mean,
like
this movie
outfits.
came out in '82, so
Yeah.
it was like VCRs and shit were still kind of new and like
Yeah.
so all that stuff. He's like, you got to take care of this equipment.
I
Harry.
love
Like,
the costume choices for Leslie Nielsen. Like he's got like some chest showing in some
Yeah.
scenes, and he's got like those necklaces that everybody had.
that was just how Leslie Nielsen dressed. Like he just came to the set. Like,
I
like,
love
perfect.
it.
Just get in the scene.
I just love all the clothes. And again, the setting of this one, along with the house and all of the sets, just makes it feel completely different. It's its own story.
Well, it's like even Ted Danson was just hanging out watching TV or whatever, just like on his couch in the afternoon on a fucking
Yeah.
Saturday or some
Yeah.
shit with pajamas and a robe on top of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
the fuck, man? Like, what's
yeah, it's just they're living the life,
who
man.
has time to get all this dressed up just to do nothing at home?
Exactly.
Rich people, apparently.
Rich people. But it's a classic revenge. This is a classic like horror themed story, right?
Yes.
The whole love triangle, the
Yes.
affair, and like the evil crazy dude.
This story is actually very similar. Well, it is kind of based off of a short that Stephen King had, and then he ended up doing the original one, which is called The Ledge. That's the original short that he had. That one is actually
I've read
in
that
one of
one.
the segments of the Cat's Eye movie,
Okay.
I have read that
where
short
it's about
story.
the guy makes you go out on the ledge because he finds
Yeah.
out you're cheating out.
Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, no, this one I love how you get the comic book details in this one because after he kidnaps him, it's like on the road near the shore, but it's like
Yeah.
that like
The little
stylized
the little thing,
banner.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the little details, and again, they have their own little transition like
Yes.
waviness to it to specify that it's its own story.
I love how he lured him too, though. How he said, "Oh, you're gonna see her again."
Yeah, you'll see her. Like,
Like,
he's
he
very
keeps-
specific.
And Harry keeps telling him, "He's like, where is she? Let me see her." I was like, "Oh, well, you got to go do this." And when you, soon as, for PSA for anybody, if you see a hole dug anywhere,
Yeah.
it
Just
doesn't
start
matter.
punching.
You just start punching.
Just
run.
punch him in
Run.
the dick, man.
Nostrils.
Run away. Yes.
Go for the
Like, run the
nostrils
fuck
and
away.
the throat.
Dick.
Because
Yeah.
as soon as I saw the shovel and I saw the hole, I'm like, he's gonna make him bury himself. He's gonna make him jump in there, and that's exactly what he does. He pulls the gun out and he says, "I want you to get in there and start doing this." And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "I have the gun."
Yeah, no, and I love how he's like, "Shoot me then," and like he gets all big until he's about to get
Yeah.
shot, and then he gets in.
Until he actually shoots the sand next to him. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't
He
give
was
a
like,
fuck.
"Ah,
Yeah.
don't shoot me!"
Look, I'm rich. I own this whole fucking thing. Look, I'm gonna yell too, like, help! Yep, nobody here.
Yeah, nobody's
Get the
here.
fucking sand,
no,
bro.
I-
He's like, "I
like-
own all of this."
Ever since I was a kid, like the line that Leslie Nielsen has is, "I keep what's mine." I'm like,
Yes.
ew, gross. No, he's crazy. Like you got to know right there that
Yeah.
it's not coming out
The
well.
question I do have, though, because again, it's a movie and me trying to use logic, how hard is it to get out of something like that if you're
I've
buried?
always thought that about this
I
scene.
know. I always think I
Especially-
can move my shoulders enough to get
Well,
a
no,
little bit
especially
of.
the fact that he's like, get on your knees and then get up. I'm like, okay, so you have, I don't know if that makes it worse or better.
But you'd
Yeah.
have no way to like get up though. Like put. I mean, you could like
Okay, but to
push your
me-
body up. I don't know. See, we
Okay.
need answers on this.
Yeah, like, okay, Saul, we're gonna bury you.
We're gonna
in the
bury you
beach
next.
I'm all for it.
the same way.
Yes.
and we're gonna make a video.
I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
We
Have
go
a
to the
little
beach as
experiment,
soon
try
as
to
we
figure out if we
can.
can.
Yes.
We'll bury you and then see how it takes.
See what we can
Because
do.
even in the close-ups where it's like just his head, I'm like, the way that it's moving, and I know that it's like, you
Yeah.
know, for the actor and not like we're really trying to fucking drown this guy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's moving around. Like, I don't know. I always thought like you got your arms in there. It's not like his arms were tied either.
That's not-
Yeah, like could you move it all? Like
yeah,
chicken wing
like,
it out.
you
Do
should-
something.
Or
Come
just,
on.
you know, work your hand up like a worm until you get to the surface
There
or
you
something.
go.
You know?
That's
Like,
what I'm thinking about. If you're not packed in there tightly, is it that impossible to?
I mean,
get out?
it made it kind of look like he tried to pack him in tightly, but I'm like, there's no way that I think, you know, just some old guy with a shovel could pack it in tight enough
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you wouldn't be able to get out because there's still going to be room, or it's still going to be like soft enough to make. I don't know, man.
Well, yeah, because even when he comes back to look for them after they've both drowned, or
He even
whatever,
says he must have got out or something.
they
like
must have, the tide must have dragged
Yeah.
him away. So I'm like, okay, then it was easy enough for the tide to pull him out through that. How deep you buried him in the sand. I think you could still get out yourself.
And the only way that makes sense if the tide took him out is if the tide came in and started taking all that sand out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, at some point, if that's what was happening, then he could have got out
he
while
could've
he
got
was
out.
still alive.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, maybe we're overthinking it too hard for this.
I just want to bury Saul, so it's fine.
Hey, we can
overthink
still
it.
do the experiment.
If I come up missing, you know what happened.
I love how it is supposed to be like he's got all this tech, but it's so 80s tech though. Like he's got those wall like TVs and all the cameras around, and so that dates it a little bit. But you see the ashtray when he's laying down watching TV. I always love that. It's so right there. And again, why does he wait to take a shower? Like
I don't know.
I was like, I would, if you're going out like digging in the sand, I want the sand off me as soon as I get back. Like I don't want to be carrying it around.
This was like his vacation house, right?
Yeah.
I assumed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
like
why
that.
the fuck would you stay there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I
okay,
don't know.
you go back later that night because this was in the morning. Because he was
Yeah.
like, the first thing he says to him is like, well, by 11 a.m., like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, to be too late.
So he's been there all fucking day. So you go later and he gets all the equipment off there, clean up the evidence or whatever, right?
Get the TV out of the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, then get the fuck out. Like, I wouldn't be sleeping there. Like, I don't know. Like, it just wouldn't do that for me.
No.
I'm like, just get the fuck out of here.
Well,
Like,
he always seemed to me that he
probably
was
not going to stay here for a few years or so.
like, it always seemed to me like he thought he was above everybody else, so he wasn't
smart.
worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna get caught.
I
nothing.
know you're not expecting him to come out of the fucking water or anything, but I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to make sure the job got done. kind of
Maybe.
thing. I don't know.
He wanted to sit there and watch his videos of them drowning because
Well, maybe
he was really into
that's,
watching.
Maybe that's the thing, that if he thought that the tide took him out, he's like, the body's gonna wash up. I'll just go back tomorrow and find it.
That's probably right. But
And then-
again,
and
why
then
would
you
you
gotta-
still wait to take a shower?
And then you gotta poke some holes in the lungs.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would want all the sand off my ass. I mean, if you're digging in the sand, why would you?
Well, he made him bury himself. So how much sand did he really
Well, he had
get
to
on
dig the
him?
TV out though when he
Yeah.
goes back for all the stuff. Like
Yes.
You got to get some of that.
that big
stuff.
ass TV he just left.
You got to love how when he placed it on there, he made him watch what was going on. The exact same thing he was doing to his wife.
Yeah. I love the scene where Ted Danson is drowning and
Yeah.
like they have all the water rushing over the head. I've always thought it was cool. And then when he actually like it shows him stuck under there
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
go that red route behind him. It's just so creepy. I love
Yeah.
it.
I wonder if that was like a fish tank or something.
It had to have been something. And I've always wondered, like, is he upside down and just like stuck his head in there, you know? Like
No, I don't think he could have been, because when he blows the bubbles out, like it wouldn't. They would have gone
Oh yeah,
down.
they would have gone down. That's right. That's right.
But then I'm like, I don't know if I could act underwater like I'm drowning.
That would give me some.
I would have
anxiety
major
or-
anxiety. I would probably end up actually drowning because I'm trying to pretend that I'm
Trying to
drowning.
pretend. No,
'Cause,
I
like,
can hold my breath. It's good.
Like, oh no, holding my breath is one thing, and then just being still. But I'm like, when he's like blowing
Yeah.
air out and then just stops into them, like I would probably like, oh, I blew too much air out. I'm fucking drowning. Get me out. Get me out.
Like, uh-oh.
Well, hopefully they have those little mask things that they put in your mouth real quick if you're underwater.
Yeah, but I don't trust anyone to be like, man, he's really good. Like, he's really selling this shit. Shit, get him out. Like,
Well, here's the thing about that though too with underwater scenes. I've read things on other movies where they've had actors in like bowls or little tanks or whatever need be, to where they're selling their acting so well
That
they're
they
like,
struggle,
yeah,
yeah.
that they struggle, and it's like they're actually struggling. They're like, oh shit! It's finally takes
Yeah.
some like production decision to realize, oh shit.
Oh yeah, we've
Yeah,
all
'cause,
heard
like-
those side
Yeah.
stories of like so and so almost drowned on the
Yeah.
set. Like,
yeah, because like
I think
'cause,
Danny
like, how-
DeVito did
'cause
not
what
too
do-
long
'cause
ago.
What are you gonna do like underwater? Because if you're pretending you're drowning, right?
yeah.
You're pretending you're drowning, and then it's like I'm going like this, like
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
gestures, like I'm drowning. They're like, oh nope, it's just he's just oh shit.
We
They're
definitely
not
need like a
acting.
hand signal,
you
like
need- yeah, you need some sort of
specified.
signal.
Like,
me die. No,
Yeah.
like, thumbs down means get me out.
oh, but then we hear Richard.
Richard. Richard.
Well, the thing that I love about that is you get the
Soggy zombies.
the soggy zombies, the fog.
Fog, yeah.
The fog comes into play again into this story because it just starts showing up everywhere and it starts hiding certain shots.
Yeah, I love
you
that
can't
it's
see what's
hiding.
going on.
I love how they like hide in the fog and they come up. I love it.
Because you can tell, okay, obviously it's going to be Harry because he's going to want to kill him because he just killed him. And then all of a
He
sudden,
says, I'm coming for you.
he's like, I'm
Oh,
coming
yeah.
back.
for you,
I'm coming
bitch."
back for you.
See, if I was ever in a situation like that and I knew, like, you know, there's no way to get out of this or something, I'm like, I'm going to come back for you. I'm going to haunt your ass, motherfucker.
Contrast.
Like when you least
I will
expect it.
find a way. Or it's like, that's when you make the deal with Hades or whoever.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna come back for this.
Well,
dude.
I mean, depending on which lore you want to go on, that's just their unfinished business.
Well, I'm saying I don't care. No, because I want to be like, I want this to come. I want to come back and kill this guy in a badass way that only, you know, other powers can help me with. Not just,
Okay,
I
fair
want to
enough.
haunt you until you kill yourself. Like, that's the movie that I'm making where a ghost come back and haunt somebody until they kill themselves.
It's like, I'm going to be a nuisance and bother you
Yes.
like crazy until you just say,
Or
"I've
I'll
had
spin
enough."
it and it's a horror comedy where it's like, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself.
Like there's a pencil right there. You can go through your neck right now.
Like an annoying just ghost. Like,
Yeah. There's so many great one-liners in this movie and throughout the whole movie, but this one, it's like, if you don't panic, you can hold your breath longer. Like, I
Yeah.
love it. I love how they have that at the end. And then when he's in the hole, when Leslie Nielsen's character's in the hole, he's like, I can hold my breath for a long time. Like,
It's like
no, you
not
can't.
long enough, dude.
It's just, it ends with him being so crazy, and you still see that craziness was always there, and that's why he killed
yeah.
those two.
So like even at the face of death, his narcissism or whatever is to like you're not accepting the truth
The
here.
inevitable,
Like,
yeah.
This is, it didn't work out for them. What makes you think it's going to work out for you, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Nope.
So the
I was going to ask you, did you read the trivia on
the original script?
Yeah, the original thing. I would have
Yeah.
liked that.
Okay, so the original script that they'd had, which I don't know why they changed or not, was that the Harry and Becky show up and they start terrorizing Richard, and he ends up calling the police, and the police come out, and he was like, no, like these people were here, they're, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I can show you my surveillance footage.
Of
And he
what-
shows
yeah.
them footage, and it ends up being footage of him like talking about and like doing the murders or whatever.
Yeah.
So they arrest him or whatever.
incriminates himself by accident.
Basically incriminates himself. He gets arrested for the murders. And then it cuts to them being in court and he's sentenced to death. And then a quick cut to him in the gas chamber. And then that's when he does the line as the gas is coming up, like, I can hold my breath for a long time. And he does that crazy, you know,
Yeah.
maniacal laugh. at the
Maniacal
end.
laugh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that would have been way darker, but I think maybe they didn't go that route because I mean compared to everything else, like none of them were really that like dark.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the way that this one ended, I felt
Well, I
it
think
really fits with the rest of them and what they were going for overall.
the only thing I can think of why they didn't do that is because pretty much everybody got their comeuppance immediately.
Yeah.
And this one would have been a little bit drawn out because obviously you're going to assume
Yeah.
that this is going to be dragged out. And I think that's probably the only reason why they didn't do it. Because that would have been completely different from everything else rather than having that immediate payoff to that story.
And these were like, you know, tributes to like EC Comics and
Yeah.
EC Comics, if you know, like Tales from the Crypt episodes and stuff like that. To me, that ending with the cut to this, cut to that, that is
Yeah.
very Tales from the Crypt like.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's definitely was it one of the episode with William Sadler where he's like an executioner when they abolish the death penalty, and then he ends up going and starts murdering bad people, and then they bring the death penalty back, and then William Sadler ends up in the death penalty in the electric chair or whatever.
Yeah.
He used to
That's
be the
kinda
guy.
cool.
So yeah, I mean those are like very
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt episode. I mean that is an actual Tales from the Crypt episode, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the way that this gas chamber thing that they had originally wanted, like that is, you know, like I'm saying, if they're doing tribute to EC, that's very like on
Yeah.
the nose.
Yeah. So the I can hold my breath for a long time leads us into the next comic book transition. And we really haven't talked about those, but I love those. I
Yeah.
love all the comic book transitions, how
They're
they
good.
end on
Yeah.
the page. It's so great. But that takes us right into the crate and jumps right into a janitor losing the quarter under the stairs.
I think of the 5 stories, The Crate was probably my favorite one out of all of them.
It's a good one.
This one was really, really good. I like this one. The last one we just did, the Something to Tide You Over, was probably my second favorite one. But this one, yeah, I love this one the most out of all of them.
It's so creepy. The creature's so awesome. Fluffy, he's amazing. That popping out of the crate scene is a core memory.
The thing that I kept thinking in my head when you saw the crate and they were gonna do that, I'm like, leprechaun's in there.
Leprechaun.
It's like they're gonna let him out. This is what happens.
It is.
From an Arctic expedition
Yes.
from June 19th, 1834.
Yes.
I love the crate, not just the short. I love the actual
crate. It
Yeah.
gives so much backstory with just a prop.
I have been
Exactly.
wanting to build a replica of the crate for so many years. I've taken pictures. I've gone to Home Depot and look at parts. Like, I want to recreate it so bad as a Halloween prop.
It's so awesome.
I've read, and I'm pretty sure this is true. And Saul, you may know this too, but I'm pretty sure that Greg Nicotero has the original crate from this movie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That he got from Tom Savini.
I wouldn't be surprised because I know the only reason why I think you're right on that is because we started watching more of the documentary on Shudder, and they talked to Greg Nicotero, and he pretty much said for his first early years of him in the industry, all he was shadowing, being mentored by Tom Savini. So you see, like, pretty much every movie that Tom Savini was in the early 80s, Greg Nicotero was right there with him.
Yeah. And then the fact that, I don't know if it's the actual one, but the crate shows up in The Walking Dead later on.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that
series.
up.
It's when they are, I think it's when they're escaping Terminus.
Oh, okay.
And they get out and they're finding guns along the way. And there's a shot, it's real quick, where they're walking through there's a car or something, and there's some boxes, and you see the box in a real quick glimpse. The crate is there, and it has that same ship to Horlicks University on there. Like, you can barely make it out. So if you Google Terminus, The Walking Dead, the crate, you will see the stills on there. So
I'm gonna have to look that up then.
that
because,
I've always loved the crate, and I'm like, that when it was there and it showed up, I'm like, holy shit, when I saw that, and I'm like, I love Greg Nicotero for that.
Yes.
Like, I love that they always put Easter eggs in there, but that one specifically, just because I've always been a huge fan of the crate.
Yeah. And Nicotero's still with Creepshow today. He is the showrunner of the series on Shudder. So yeah,
And they've done it.
History.
I feel like they've done a great job in this series of not only keeping it true to the original, but also updating it for a modern audience.
yes.
Yeah.
And the stories in the show feel so different each time you watch. Like, each show is different, each story is different, and they really do a great way of breaking up the feel of each one. So you feel like you've got this anthology going with each time you watch the episodes. But yes, the crate. The crate is great for a number of reasons. I mean, we got
Adrienne Barbeau, who is Wilma /
Yeah,
call me
Wilma.
Billy, because everyone always
me
does.
Billy.
She is a loud, sloppy lady.
Yes. I was like, was she just like a trophy wife, lush? Like, I don't
She
get,
must
so.
have been.
I don't get their
know.
dynamic, because I mean, they didn't have kids or anything. It didn't allude to. So it's like, why would he be with her? Like, because everyone, like, he's literally people at parties like, why do they keep inviting her?
Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, God, this is the
Like,
one again.
People will just walk. I love her one-liners though. Like, it was really like the one. My favorite one was like, academics make sharks and jaws look like fucking flippers.
She did have some great one-liners, man. She's just loud and sloppy. I love when she takes the new professor and his wife like over to the bar, and she's like just throwing them around. Basically, she's like, "These people are dry. Get them a drink."
Like, they're
Get
sober.
one of
don't-
those goddamn kids in the monkey suit to bring the car around.
I know.
Oh my
it's
God.
I want him
so
to be like, "There's
perfect.
no valet. What the fuck are you talking about, Billy?
You're
Like,
lost.
who did you give the keys to, you stupid bitch?"
And you gotta feel bad for the Henry dude because every time he's just like, that's my wife. Why am I still married to her?
Yeah.
And the other thing about it though too, you gotta think, okay, the people must obviously love Henry because they keep inviting him.
Yeah,
And-
even knowing that
Yeah.
she's a part of that invitation.
yeah.
No, and I love how when his friend, like, he goes to talk to his other professor friend, and he's like, I'm just about put up with enough of his shit. Yeah, Dexter.
Dex, yeah.
Dexter. He's like, I'm about done with your wife, Henry.
The thing that
Is
was
like
funny-
basically what it was alluding to.
The thing that was funny with Henry though is when he started fantasizing about killing his wife. And when
Everybody
they're-
claps.
Everybody claps when he shoots her.
I do love that, because I don't think that, like, even the new people that they had just met,
Yeah.
like, I think if everyone would have started clapping, which would I really honestly feel like if
They
that
probably would
happened,
have.
they would have.
Yeah.
They'd be
I
like,
feel
it's
like they-
about damn time.
I feel like they would have been like, we knew this lady for 10 minutes and we are glad you did that.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, man.
I really feel it shows the waspiness of white people, though, because they do all still invite her ass. They all do. Like,
Yeah,
they don't say anything to her.
It kind
Like,
of made me think of like one of those things where it's like, well, we have to invite them, otherwise it'd be it would look bad upon us if we don't invite them.
I'm telling you, that's got to be the love for Henry.
That doesn't stop anybody else from being like, look, Billy, you need to shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Like, you got to stop.
Shut your damn,
like, you're being trashy.
Like, stop it.
No, because I
too
feel
drunk.
Because I feel like those socialite people back then in the 80s, like
yes, they were waspy. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
like, it was a waspy
but
white
I feel
people.
like those people wouldn't say anything to other people.
They wouldn't, and that's why they're wasps.
But I mean, either way, it does a great job of you being okay with how this whole fucking thing ends.
Yeah.
And it really is to the point that's like, even when they're at that point where he's trying to get Billy into the fucking crate and like the monster's not responding or whatever, when she finally starts saying shit to him, that's when the monster comes out and like he gives this like look and is like, raw. Like, I got you, bro.
God,
like,
this bitch won't shut up. I gotta eat her.
I really feel like the Fluffy came in. I was like, I ain't even hungry, man. But fuck,
I already
I'm gonna
had
do
2
you
people
a favor.
tonight. Like, I'm not even hungry at this point. But
He's
fuck
like,
this
I'm doing
bitch.
you a
I had
favor,
a
and I'm doing
janitor
everybody
and
a
Charlie
favor.
Garrison. I'm not hungry, but shit, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do you a solid.
He was like,
bro.
I'm taking this one. I was like, I'm taking one for the team.
I thought it was funny that like when Mike the janitor is the first one to get eaten, and he's so endearing. Like, he's so poor Mike.
I know, like that's like at the wrap up of this thing. Like that's the thing. Like I'm always like, all right, how do you justify or like corroborate like how all these deaths happen?
Yeah.
Because the one thing, I mean, like the janitor was the janitor, and I guess the college student, but I feel like the janitor was an innocent death because he didn't know anything. They didn't know what the fuck they were getting into.
Well,
But when Charlie Garrison dies, I'm like, okay, you go in there and you see all this blood. And at first you're like, oh shit, like maybe the, Dex did this, Professor Dex.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like, oh look, the blood trail goes over here. And like Charlie goes in there and is like, I want to get bite measures on this boot.
Yes,
and I'm
Yeah.
like, you
he
stupid
dies.
ass.
He
Like,
dies from
I'm
his
like,
own nerdiness.
Your
yeah.
literal academic curiosity fucking killed your ass.
Yep.
Yes.
I know. I wrote Charlie's so dumb. Like, he wants a bite. He wants to measure the bites for
Yeah, and I'm
anthropology. Like, look at you, Charlie. Now's
Like
not
he's
the
still
time.
trying to be a student.
Yep.
But the thing that I felt bad though with the janitor's death is that he was so excited to open up and see what was in this crate because he discovered it, and he's like, "Oh, we got to see what this is, and let's get it open." And then his dumbass puts his hand in there.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Why would you put your hand in anywhere where you can't see fully in? Like,
Exactly.
Anytime. I don't care if it's a fucking tree stump, a pipe, or fucking
Well, he said there's
a box
emeralds.
from 1834.
Yeah, you want that all the way open.
So does
before
Fluffy
sticking
eat
our hands
humans
in
and
there.
shit out emeralds is what I'm to believe? Is like there's a
See,
box
even
full of
with
shit?
the emerald thing, I'm thinking again. Took me back to the leprechaun things. You have something in a crate. He's going to do what he can to try
And
to get you to
how
open it.
valuable are fucking emeralds that you would stick your hand in there? And
Yeah.
it's not even yours. Like, I don't feel bad for fucking janitor anymore. His own dumbass curiosity. That thing's been there for how goddamn long?
It's
and
gonna
then
be
finally
hungry.
today he was like, let's take a look in here.
Yes.
But then he says too, like when they put the crate down on the table, he's like, it seems like something moved in there. Like
Yeah.
he's the one
He's like,
that
I
calls
felt-
out.
He's like, I felt
Yeah,
the
but
weight shift.
but Dex is like, if there was anything alive there's no way it's still alive. I'm like, you don't know that.
Right?
Like,
You don't know what they
okay,
found.
Just because that box says 1834 doesn't mean what's in there is still from 1834.
This is true.
Again,
Just
it's
because
still
there's a bunch
leprechaun.
of dust all over. Like, did you see how fucking dusty the floor was?
Yeah, I love how
Remember leprechaun?
That's where fucking Mike sweeps all the dust into.
Yeah.
yeah. I love how when after he eats the janitor, the monster fucking puts his crate back.
Yeah.
It's like, this
Like,
is not where I live.
He's like, I just want to go back to bed. Like,
Yes.
You motherfuckers woke me up.
Like, it's taking me out of my home, moved my home around. Like
that's
leave
what I
my shit
know.
alone.
He wanted a dark space, maybe.
He did. And then the beast eats poor promising grad student Charlie.
Yes.
They've always kind of said that this was kind of just like an in-joke homage to John Carpenter's The Thing because of the whole Arctic expedition
Yeah.
with Julie Carpenter and all that, which is his wife. So
No, I love it. Like you said, the crate just, it adds lore. It gives us its own backstory that you don't even really need. It's just, it's a perfect prop.
And then what? We get Dexter that goes to Henry's house and tells him that
Henry, like Dexter freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like when he gets there, he's like, look,
Well,
there's
he
two
really-
people dead.
to
It's
his,
a
to
beast.
his
I don't
credit,
know.
he just saw a creature pop up from this crate like a little jack in the box and start eating people.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna fuck with some people.
And then Henry drugs his friend.
He just goes over there with his. He goes over there with a bloody boot, first of all.
He does.
And I love that Henry was like, let me grab that bloody boot with this newspaper real quick and wrap that up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you've been in some crimes, motherfucker.
Yes.
Like, no, they have that whole conversation where he's like, wait, Dex, just calm down.
Yeah.
Tell me what happens, right? So it cuts to at the end of him telling the whole story, right? Henry comes up with that plan really fucking quick.
Yes.
Considering that he's like, tell me the story. And like, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do. And he already has this plan in his fucking head. He's like, I got to get up. I'm going to drug you. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to write this note for Billy, which the ashtray is on the desk.
Which I think the reason why is because he's fantasized so much about killing his wife that he's already have all these plans in place.
Yeah. So he's like, well, if there's only a way that I could get rid of the body in this way, I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking with Billy being fucking Billy. Like, so, but yeah, this just is, he came up with this super quick.
That's the only reason I can think of is just those fantasies of him killing her.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the one thing, did you notice about Wilma? Kim picked it up on it, and then I picked up on it too when she poured herself a glass of milk.
Oh, she takes it with her.
She takes it with her.
Yes, I love it. Like she's
Like she
got
took the glass of milk with her.
Yeah.
When she was leaving, she was like, you should make sure that you clean the pots and get that tobacco smoke out of here. Oh, she's like, it makes me want to Ralph.
Yeah.
But she was like, when I get back from my classes, and then she shows up drunk later.
Wasted,
and I'm like,
hammered.
your classes really got you drunk.
And then
Yes.
she pours what alcohol does she pour into that? I don't remember, but I think it's just a nondescriptive, like old time alcohol bottle.
She makes a White Russian and was like, all right, let's head out the door.
It just looked like whiskey and milk to me.
Yeah.
That's not a White Russian.
It just looked like milk to me at all. I didn't realize
don't
that
know.
she poured anything in
Yeah,
it.
she did.
Is there like a weird drink that you would drink with milk or
I
something?
have no clue.
Because,
Kahlua?
okay,
That's the only thing I can think of is Kahlua.
besides Kahlua, but I'm like a hard thing that you would get in a shot. Because there's totally not horror, but in Maverick, the fucking movie, there's a scene where they're playing in the boat and somebody like brings over like these two shots that look like milk to some guy. And I'm like, was that meant to be actual fucking milk? Or is there like a weird alcohol that you mix with milk that like some guy?
See, I love milk.
Did you
but I
find
couldn't-
something?
But I couldn't. White
Just
Russian?
the White Russian?
Okay.
The White Russian shot though? Like, I guess.
Okay.
It just seems weird.
Maybe
to
it's an
me.
old timey thing.
Yeah.
See, I love milk, but I could never mix alcohol in there with
No.
it. No, it's just, no, I can't.
What about like hot cocoa?
No, nothing.
With,
I
like,
cannot
alcohol
mix.
and
I cannot mix.
eggnog.
I can't mix
Eggnog.
alcohol with any type of liquor.
Eggnog.
It's just no. I can't even drink eggnog.
Like by itself?
No,
What the hell's the matter with you? Are you lactose intolerant?
no. I love milk.
What are we talking about?
Around milk now.
We got to get back to
Billy
her-
brings her milk to the campus, but I love when Henry goes to set the scene for Wilma, and he's just cleaning up crime scenes like it's just a normal day. Like
Well,
he's got
doesn't-
the mop in there.
Well, doesn't he play it up beforehand by saying he wrote a big long ass letter?
Yeah,
that
about
he
how
said that
Dex-
Dexter did this.
Well, it makes sense that he went there. And I've always loved the fact that he played on Billy's like nosy ass nature,
Yeah.
just to be like, we need your help. Like he got in trouble.
You're always so good at these things.
And the
Yes.
fact that she was like making those faces at Dex when he was talking to that younger, I don't know if it was a student or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was talking to that younger girl and she was making those faces and shaking her head like, oh, you pervert.
Yeah. But yeah, he set a plan perfectly in motion because her nosy ass decides to go down to the university.
It's probably that he is just playing on how well he knows Billy's just like
Ridiculousness?
Just ridiculousness overall, and just like her nosiness and just all the shitty qualities about her. Be like, well, if I tell her we need her help, she'll be like, oh, what would you do without me?
Yeah.
And then just like so she'll show up for sure. And then he was smart enough to take Dex's car back with him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, well, he already scanned in. He knows that, so they'll be able to say that, we know that you went there, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it was smart for him to do that. And then knowing that Billy bringing the fucking station wagon with her, there's plenty of room for the fucking crate. So
Yeah.
he really masterminded this whole fucking thing to a T. Like,
He
Yes,
did
he did.
super
quickly.
quick.
I love how when he carefully re-entraps the monster in the thing, he's like ever so slightly lifting up the lock
Yeah.
to lock him
Yeah.
back in. I'm like, there'd be no way he would have already heard you.
But I still love the scene
No,
though
he
when
just
Fluffy
had-
does eat her because it just comes out. It's one of those iconic shots that
Oh yeah, with the red and
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Well, he just ate 3 people.
He
so
did.
He's probably like, okay, just do it real quiet.
yeah.
I want to wake him up.
And tell it to call you Billy. Everybody else.
I
does.
love that. Like it was like a final fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
tell it to call you Billy. Because he was kind of like, I'm half tormented, but half excited. Like,
He's like, I'm enjoying this a little too
I got a
much.
chub now, bitch.
Yeah.
And then, like, he just talks to his friend the next morning about how he hid all the bodies and he takes the monster to the quarry and dumps it into the...
And blackmails him into playing chess.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'd be like, if I was Dex, I'd be like, dude, we're both single dudes now.
Yes.
We're not
We
playing
ain't got to
chess.
worry about a damn thing.
We ain't playing chess.
We both
bro.
had a very rough night.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about like for the rest of their lives. He's like, you
Yes.
got to come play chess with me twice a week for the rest of our lives, is what he tells him.
So he's pretty much doing the
Yes.
Magneto Xavier
So that's
thing.
like that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, no, if I was Dex, I'd be like, no, we're gonna be playing chess twice a week for the rest of our lives. We're gonna go out and we're gonna get on chicks. We are single dudes in a college
I
town.
guess.
Do you see the chicks he was talking to at that party?
Old, though. Ooh,
Still,
no,
though.
thank you.
Hey, age ain't nothing but a number.
And that moves us. Well, we do see that the before we move on to their creeping up on you, we see that the monster gets out. Fluffy gets out.
Fluffy gets, yeah.
The crate. I mean, obviously, how old is that crate to begin with? And then you add water to it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
gonna-
gonna
yeah, it's-
last long.
I don't get at that point what he was doing. I think he was trying to drown it, but it's like,
Yeah.
dude, that crate is
Because
old.
you didn't tighten the lid enough to where water wouldn't get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know, like I guess he thought that it was just gonna drown him.
Yeah.
I guess they filmed originally and they probably scaled this back. I mean, obviously they did scale it back because probably they weren't going too dark. But in the original thing that they filmed, that when you see the bubbles coming up and all that, Billy's corpse was going to rise to the top.
Ah. Well, yeah, it makes sense. He couldn't have eaten it all. He had 3
Like, he
people
was
that
full.
night.
Like he was full. That'll be a snack for later.
That's the reason the crate broke is he ate 2 people and he shit out all those emeralds and it just got full.
just got
and
too full.
It smashed the crate.
Buckled
open.
under the pressure.
The emerald is what saved him. It meant,
Yeah.
Fluffy's like, my diarrhea saved my life.
Yes.
Yep. I know. I love how, because they talk about Dexter's like, what if it ever gets out? He's like,
Do you see exactly what happened?
yeah.
That's future Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dex's problem.
Well, I mean, they couldn't be tied back to it unless, like you said, the bodies were in there still. So
Okay, I've done this millions of times where I'm like, how do you explain all this to the police? So here's what I would do. You know that there was a call made to that party. You know that the janitor called him from the school, that he talked to Charlie Garrison. So like that's the 2 guys that are dead so far, right?
Yeah.
So you go and say like, yeah, he said that he found something and then he wanted me to take a look at it and I came back and then I left. Then I went to my friend's house and we played chess. And then I stayed there because his wife never came home and we were worried about it. So then, nobody else was at the college. Like they said, they'd set it up where it's like, it's a ghost town. Like it's dead.
Yeah.
So you could say like, all right, maybe somebody came and murdered these 2 after I left. I mean, who knows? Like as long as he's able to keep a straight fucking face on all these things and be like, I don't know, this is what I know. I was there, obviously. And then, why'd you come back? Oh, I had left my car because I had too much to drink and I probably shouldn't
Yeah.
have. And so, I don't know. He can make something up. Like, who knows? Like,
Could have been that whole thing from Training Day. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
pretty much, man. Well, I mean, come on. Our first podcast was on Silver Bullet, and we know how the
Yeah.
fucking police standards were in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So,
But that takes us right into their creeping up on you, the bug story.
Yes.
And this is the one that when I think of Creepshow, I always, when I was a kid, I would always think of the bug one. Like that one just always stuck out to me for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's not my favorite. My favorite one is Father's Day.
I think
it's
is
just
it because
so
of the
iconic.
bugs and how creepy some people don't.
It might
don't like
have
them?
been. It might have been like I was so terrified by the bugs crawling out of Ups and Pratt at the end that it just stuck in there. Like it just stuck in my brain. But yeah, this is a great one for many reasons. Like he's in this germaphobe house. Like it's supposed to be. It's so white
say it
and
was
so
what, the-
crisp and clear.
Probably the
like,
penthouse of a building.
yeah,
it's a building he owns. He's Ups and Pratt.
Yes.
and he's got this little vacuum trash thing that he has, and he puts all of his tissues into and.
And his face mask.
His face mask, he's got the phone lines all there. It's connected to everyone. Like,
And he's kind of a dick too, because what is it?
he's a big racist dick.
Because what is it? The superintendent, he's like, if he doesn't call me by, what was it, 9 or something, whatever it need be.
You don't know, it was like it's 9:30, whatever. And I told him to call me within the hour. He's got 26 minutes.
He was like, didn't you forget he's on a, what is it,
A vacation
at Disneyland. He's
Yes.
like, well, his ass can stay at Disneyland next year when I fire him or whatever need be.
Yes, he's all grump, and he's finding bugs in his apartment, and he finds one in the opening scene, and that's what sets off our whole evening. Is he's just pissed because there are bugs in his germ-proof apartment that he pays way too much for. And like I said, this is another great one that gives us lots of backstory in the short little time that you have.
Because he was a dick. He's a demanding boss because he demands so much things from his workers to the point where it drives one of them to suicide.
Well, no, it's not even his worker. It drives the old man who used to own the company after he realizes that Upton Pratt's taking over his company.
It was they took over this other guy's company or whatever, and the guy couldn't handle it, or that's why he killed himself.
Okay.
Mrs. Katzenmeyer called him about it. So in the original scripted version of this, Stephen King wrote it as it originally took place in a lush carpeted penthouse apartment. But because with the roaches and everything, it would have been kind of unworkable to see everything. I think it would have been weirder and grosser. But the other thing about this scene is this was the most expensive.
I did read this part.
Yeah, this was the most expensive one of the 5 they had to do because of the cockroaches that were. They had to pay 50 cents a piece for the cockroaches, and they used 250,000 of them, so they had to pay $125,000 just for the cockroaches.
1982? Oh my lord!
That's a lot for a freaking roach back in 1982. 50 cents for a roach?
Yeah, that's.
I'm getting into the roach business if it doesn't.
Apparently,
even at those prices today, man. I don't feel 50 cents. Like.
But yeah, I love when he calls. Or when the wife, Mrs. Kitchener, is that Katzenmeyer. Mrs. Katzenmeyer calls after her husband's death, and he's like, "I'm gonna rejoice when you're dead." And he goes, "Lots of people are gonna rejoice when I'm dead. Who are you? Like,
get in line, lady.
Be more specific about why you're gonna be happy when I'm dead."
I love that he says that because he knows how much people hate him, and you're just another person. Like you're gonna be one of many, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of people that are gonna be lining up to see me die.
I love his line where he's like, "Wait, who gave you my number?"
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can't. I can't fire him.
It's like, who gave me that so I can fire him?
I got it in my husband's phone book, you asshole.
Yes.
Like, well, can't fire him.
And then another superintendent comes to his door, and we find out that Upton Pratt is also a racist.
Yeah.
I love it. He's like, "I've always noticed that people of your color are great in service jobs." Like,
you'll go far in the service industry.
So gross. Yes.
I always thought that scene was weird, where you see like the peephole magnifier thing.
Yeah, the mouth
where
kind
they
of
just
a thing.
Kind of like it was just focused on their mouths talking all creepy like that.
It adds a weird layer.
I really think his super technological hygienic penthouse thing really went more with this story than having it like a regular place, because it was it really spoke to his germaphobe ways and all that, and the fact that he had his fail-safe panic room that was supposed to. I feel like it was very space age kind of stuff like that.
It had that feel to it,
Because even his trash can was that suction thing that you would find on a fucking space shuttle actually. So
and his whole persona, he's got this weird white coat on, but this crazy hair.
Yeah,
and
the crazy hair.
Gloves.
What the fuck was he? Was it cereal that he just mashed up in the blender?
I don't know. I don't know.
It was bran flakes
or whatever.
Because he put bran flakes, and there was I don't know. It looked like fucking mayonnaise on the counter. But
I don't know what the fuck he was
making.
Yeah.
It was weird and gross. Yeah, because even his food like that, it was just mash it up in this paste, a very did this motherfucker think he was in space?
He
or some
might
shit?
have. He might have. But then the city blacks out. They go into a blackout as he's
love
staring
this part
at.
of it.
Yeah, you just see all the lights go out, and then it just so.
I
crazy.
love when he calls it. I think he calls the cops or whatever, and the cops "Look, buddy, I don't give a shit. We got a lot of stuff going on tonight. You're just gonna have to fucking wait. I don't care that you got roaches, you bastard."
He's like, "But I'm Upton Pratt. You have to. I own this building." The thing that was funny is when
a lot of people own buildings, buddy. We don't give a shit.
The thing that was funny is again when he called either the superintendent or the janitor to be like, "Why aren't you here?" I was like, "I'm stuck in the elevator. I can't get out."
Stuck in the elevator. You fucking hungry?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Like, what do you want me to do? I'm stuck. He's like, "Well, hurry the fuck up and get over here." I'm like, what's he gonna do? He's stuck in the elevator. There's no power in the building.
I'm sorry, Upton Pratt.
I know, and it shows how inept he really is, because then the bugs just they just attack him.
Yeah,
they all just start coming out of everywhere, and he just he's still trying to use his suction cup trash can thing
and the stupid spray.
Yeah,
that hasn't been working at all.
The spray's not working. Start stepping on him.
Yeah. But then he goes into his little panic room, his fail-safe, germ-free panic room, and then there's just a bed full of bugs.
The thing that did gross me out, though, before we go any further, is when he started eating his whatever the hell you want to call it. That is how he found one in there. I'm like, oh.
I feel like it would have affected him a lot more than they showed, because especially being like this germaphobe guy, and like I feel like he would have been like
puking,
meltdown, freaked out.
That just grossed me out, because if you can imagine that actually happened to you in person, that just made me cringe. It's
Statistically speaking, Saul.
I know, but you're not going to find a big giant ass roach in that.
I know, but statistically speaking,
we've all eaten.
You've had that, and you've eaten it and not known.
Well, I'd rather not know.
I'd rather not know.
So when you find it, that's when you know.
Yeah.
So all these times you haven't found it, you've still eaten it. No.
Anyway, the roaches attack Mr. Pratt, and then the end scene
is
is
full body like mold or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always love the blood bubble, and then just kind of spurts out a little bit. I don't know if they planned it that way, but like just the way that it happens, it worked out.
I'm wondering if they just spurted that out so it would give them a route to go, and then they started they released other areas, and then they just came out on their own, kind of a thing. But yeah, so creepy. Then they're crawling out of his nose, like his whole body, and then they show that shot of like the whole room covered, and then it's just
a little panic
creepy.
room that's just covered in roaches.
Yes, but it's a end to Upson Pratt, which is worthy of his dickheadedness.
Yes,
and like when you guys were talking about when he's eating that food, he's clearly crazy, because like he's got this like whole little rant about how they'll creep up on you and they're all there, and like he's kind of going crazy. So just getting eaten alive. Gross.
The guy that plays Upson Pratt, I don't remember his real name, but he is always just Art from Christmas Vacation. And I always think of this movie and that one. Like he's probably been in a million things, but it's always this, because I always look at him and I'm gonna be like, "Don't piss me off, Art."
Yes, exactly.
That's where I knew him from. I knew he had that familiar face, but now that he says that, okay, now I know where I know else. Now I know where else I know him from.
And then we bring the film full circle with the outro, and we see the kid and Tom Adkins' dad yet again at breakfast the next morning. And we also see Tom Savini's trash man character at the end.
He's a trash man.
Yep. Who finds the Creepshow comic book in the trash.
And I love how when he's flipping through it, you see in the comic book the stories that we just saw in the movie.
Yeah.
You see like the little panels and everything in the pages.
And then they get to that cutout of sending away for the voodoo doll.
Yeah.
And that's such a classic thing. Like, you had to send away for things. Before Amazon, you had to, like, mail people shit. Like,
which they do again in the second one as well. I do love how Horlicks University does make a cameo in the second one as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, good fun for that one as well.
Yep. So. And then the end is with Tom Atkins getting voodoo dolled to death.
I love how when he's sitting at the table and he's like, "Well, what's wrong?" I'm like, I don't know. I must have slept on my neck wrong. I'd be like, maybe you messed your neck up when you beat the shit out of Billy last night.
Maybe, yeah.
You threw your arm out for doing that, you jackass.
Oh, terrible, terrible choices. Yes. Don't beat your kids. And that is the movie. We all love this movie. This whole podcast was just how we love this movie. It's classic Halloween. Go watch it. It's fun. It's probably on somewhere. If you haven't seen the series on Shudder and you have Shudder, I highly suggest it if you like comic book horror, such as this and Tales from the Crypt, because they're all the same kind of theme and they're great.
There's a great illustrated like comic book version, like comic book novel version of this Creepshow movie. I think it was like $13 on Amazon. So it's great for if you have like kids that, like Creepshow and comics and stuff like that. So it really is one of the guys that it's got the original cover art on the front, and then one of the other a really popular artist that I can't remember his name. He did the actual illustrations for the rest of the comic book. So it's really fun, and
it's very true to the movie as well.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. But yeah, Stephen King, master of horror, George A. Romero, so good.
Tom Savini.
Awesome. Tom Savini. Yeah, how do I keep forgetting him?
You can't get this combination of people ever again because of
really like Hal Brooks,
you
Adrienne Barbeau, Leslie Nielsen, Ted Danson.
Yeah, it's just a perfect horror movie. It's a perfect Halloween horror movie. They never go too far, so you can watch it with the young kids. Yeah. Like, it's just a perfect introduction to horror for anybody anybody. It's a great
Yes.
movie.
It
Wonderful.
It really lives up to the Creep Show name.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. But that is it for this week. We are coming back to you again next week with another Halloween thing. We have got an interesting idea for our anniversary that is this year. We are one. We are officially one. Our podcast is now a
Yes.
fully grown toddler.
Yes.
Yay. And if you've been here from the beginning, we love you.
Yes, we do.
We love
Send
you
us
so
more
much.
love.
Yes.
Shout out to Tony from the Shutter Group. Your stickers are on their way, buddy.
Yes, and if anybody else wants stickers, you can email us at podcast@scarynerd.com. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/scarynerd. You can check out more horror and entertainment news at scarynerd.com. And of course, we are on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we have actually been thinking about content for TikTok again. So if you're on TikTok, follow us, and we promise we will have content up there soon. We promise. We figured it out.
We're just going to bury Saul on TikTok.
Yes,
That's what we're gonna do.
we could. That could be a TikTok thing. That would be interesting.
It might be.
But that's it for this week. We'll see you spooky bastards next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.